Hi guys, so today I'm going to be talking about Albert Bandura, and I just chose him because I've always kind of followed his work and just been really interested in what he does. And this is just a small quote from him. It says, "Psychology cannot tell people how they ought to live their lives. It can, however, provide them with the means for effecting personal and social change." And I just like this quote because psychology is um, a very good aid in the lives of everyone. And although, like he said, it can't tell us what to do, it can help make changes within our day to day life. So, for his life and family, he was born in a small town in Canada on December 4th, 1925. He is still alive at the young age of 95 years old. He is the youngest of six children, and he's the only son. He lost two siblings, one to a car accident and another one to the flu pandemic. His parents immigrated to Canada when they were children, his father from Poland and his mother from Ukraine. They had no formal education, but they still placed a high expectation for it for their children. His dad actually taught himself three different languages: Polish, Russian, and German. Um, so yeah, he taught himself how to read those, and he also served as a member of the school board in the district that they lived in and where Bandura was going to school. Bandura has been married to his wife Virginia for 61 years, and they have two daughters together. He enjoys spending time with his family, traveling, and hiking. So for educational experiences, he started off at school, which only had two high school teachers. His whole school was in one building, so that made it pretty tough on teachers trying to teach all the kids everything. So this gave him limited access to resources, so he had to use his own interests and his environment around him to learn his own academic skills. In 1946, Bandura enrolled at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. He did not initially plan on studying psychology. He was friends with some engineer students and carpooled with them to school, and they had early classes. So to fill that time, he signed up for an early psych class in that time spot, and that's what initially started his interest in psychology. He graduated in 3 years from the university with the Bulletin Award in psychology. He then attended the University of Iowa for his graduate studies. This is where the social learning theory started. After finishing his master's degree in 1951, he stayed at the university to get his PhD in clinical psychology. After, he went to work with Robert Sears at the University of Stanford in the psychology department. He also collaborated with Richard Walters, and they wrote a book called Adolescent Aggression in 1959. From the discoveries in the book led him to work with Dory and Sheila Ross in what became the Bobo doll experiment. So these are just a list of his honorary degrees. As you can see, there's a lot of them there. He has spent a lot of time continuing his education and learning more about his area of study. So his major theory, one of his biggest ones, is the social cognitive theory, also known as the social learning theory. This is where I'll talk more about the Bobo doll experiment, which is the big experiment within this theory. The goal of this experiment was to test to see if aggression can be learned through observation. He tested 72 boys and girls between the ages of 6 or between 3 and 6 years old. These children were pre-tested to see how aggressive they initially are before they underwent experiment. This is just a precaution to make sure that the behaviors that they were displaying weren't out of the norm of what they typically display at home. The children were split up into 3 different groups. 24 children were shown aggressive models, 24 were shown non-aggressive models, and then the control group, which was the 24 children who were not shown any model. The children who observed aggression were more likely to display aggressive behavior towards the doll than children who observed non-aggression behavior or didn't see a model at all. And within these groups, so in the aggression group, 6 boys and 6 girls saw a woman model, and 6 boys and 6 girls saw a female model. And likewise, for the 24 children who saw the non-aggressive model, 6 boys and 6 girls saw a female model, and 6 boys and 6 girls saw a male model. The girls showed more physical aggressive behavior if they were shown the male model, but had more verbal aggression when the model was a female. The boys reciprocated more physical aggression acts than the girls. There was very little difference between the verbal aggression between the boys and girls. So this experiment shows that children have the ability to learn aggression through observation. So a couple historical precedents for Albert Bandura are Clark Hall. Hall influenced Bandura's social learning theory. Kenneth Spence, Hall's student and Bandura's teacher, was the head of the psychology department. Arthur Benton, he was the director of Bandura's clinical program and his academic advisor at Iowa. And Robert Sears, who I talked about before, got Bandura to work at the University of Stanford. Applications of this theory today. This can be a flipped classroom model. Instead of traditional learning, students will watch a lecture video at home, and then in class they will take what they learned and apply it to assignments or class discussion. Gamification and simulations. These can turn the classroom into an interactive experience for the students. Creating assignments into games can help motivate students to want to work harder in the classroom. These games or simulations can create rewards and punishment for students in an engaging way within the classrooms. When students win a game or you receive a reward for doing so well on an assignment or a test, it can make students want to do better. And also, on the other side of things, students who don't win will see someone else succeed in the game, and that can make them want to do better by observing other students doing well within the classroom. Peer coaching. This helps students learn from one another. Students can observe and learn from one another and help each other in the classroom. This can be intimidating for some students to work and talk with other students about homework if they're not doing so well. And so that can kind of create a divide, but the teacher is there to help aid and keep the conversations on track so that students can work off of one another. So taking that, some personal things that I would use in my future classroom. I really like the idea of the flipped classroom. I personally thought that I learned really well doing that in high school. So that is something that I would really like to try in my own classroom. Group work, which falls along with the peer coaching and peer discussions, just to allow the students to talk with each other about their thought processes and just engaging with one another to create a better work environment for the students. and being a role model myself to my students. If I am showing aggressive speak or aggressive behavior within the classrooms, my students might reciprocate that towards myself or other students, and that is not something that we would want. Albert Bandura has a lot of awards. I'm just going to mention a couple. His first award was the Distinguished Scientific Contribution Award from the American Psychological Association in 1980. The Lifetime Achievement Award from the Western Psychological Association in 2003. Honorary Fellow from the World Innovation Foundation in 2004. The Ernest M. Rogers Award from the Norman Lear Center for Entertainment and Society in 2007, and his most recent award, the National Medal of Science, that was given to him by President Obama in 2016. Some criticisms of this. Bandura's theories have been criticized by biological theorists because they believe that his ideas ignore biological states that people are in a situation and their autonomic nervous system responses to those situations. So they believe that somebody's behavior could be caused by being inherited and not always learned. They might have predisposed genes or actions in them that could cause this behavior rather than just seeing it and then reciprocating the behavior. His Bobo doll experiment has been criticized for being too situational. Reasons such as not all children will repeat the behavior of an aggressor. In the experiment, the children may be manipulated into repeating the aggressive behavior just because that is the only thing they are seeing. And possibly another criticism is that children are only playing and not actually being aggressive towards the doll, because when they go into the experiment, they went into a room full of toys that they got to play with, and then they were removed from the room and then watched their model either be aggressive or non-aggressive to the doll, and then went back into the room. And if they saw the aggressive behavior, they were more likely to reciprocate that aggressive behavior. But since they were already playing, some think that they might have just been doing that and not actually being aggressive towards the doll. His idea of showing violent behavior through media was also criticized. They believe that it actually lessens the aggressive behavior because children can see themselves as the characters, they can resonate with them on the screen engaging in that aggressive behavior, and it releases their violent ideas and behaviors without actually acting upon them. This is also known as the catharsis effect. And these are my references. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Albert Bandura, and I hope everybody has a great Christmas break.